The Friday afternoon sun poured through the wide glass windows of Hawthorne High's main hallway, splashing streaks of light across the freshly waxed floor. Students swarmed the corridor, chattering in a haze of weekend anticipation. For most, the last bell meant freedom. But for one person, it meant walking into a lion's den. Emma Carter adjusted her ponytail and gripped the strap of her duffel bag a little tighter. The scent of fresh paper and cafeteria pizza still lingered in the air, but beneath it, she could feel the tension like static before a storm. She'd been at Hawthorne High for just 2 months, having transferred from Westbrook after her mom got a new nursing job. On the surface, she fit the picture, perfect image, tall, blonde, and now a newly minted cheerleader after making the squad last week. But looks didn't protect you here. Not when someone like Travis, Tank McConnell, had set his sights on you. Travis wasn't just a bully. He was the bully. 6'2" football captain, a mean streak thicker than his biceps. His reputation was built on humiliating people publicly, making sure his dominance was always visible. If you crossed him, you'd pay in a currency of shame. And unfortunately for Emma, she'd crossed him without even trying. It had started 3 days ago in the cafeteria. Emma had been balancing her lunch tray when Travis, laughing with his paws, accidentally stuck his foot out. She'd sidestepped neatly, avoiding the spill. Her cheer bag had swung out in the process, clipping his soda and sending a splash onto his brand new Letterman jacket. Gasps had gone up. Travis had stared at her, soda dripping from the sleeve, his smile hardening into something dangerous. "Watch it, Barbie," he'd said in a low voice. Emma had smiled, just slightly, and replied, "Maybe you should watch where you put your foot." That had been it. The moment she sealed her name on his list. Now, as she approached her locker, she saw them before they saw her. Travis and his crew, Mark, Dean, and Jakey, leaning against the lockers like sentries. They were grinning in that way predators do when the prey walks right into their territory. Emma kept her face neutral, spinning her combination lock, trying not to give them the satisfaction of seeing her flinch. "Hey, Carter," Travis called, his deep voice carrying over the noise. "Nice jacket." Emma stiffened slightly. She was wearing the cheerleading squad's newest team jacket, deep navy with the Hawthorne Hawks crest on the back, and her name stitched across the front in gold thread. It was part of the uniform she'd earned fair and square. She didn't answer, just opened her locker and swapped out books. Mark whistled. "Bet it'd look better on someone else." Dean chuckled. "Or crumpled on the floor." Travis stepped closer. "How about you let us borrow it, huh?" Emma finally turned her head, her eyes calm but sharp. Not happening. That was when he moved. In a flash, Travis's hand shot out, grabbing the collar of her jacket. She jerked back, but his friends boxed her in. He gave a sudden, hard wrench, and the zipper slid halfway down before she could react. The hallway seemed to freeze. A few students stopped to watch, their faces pale, knowing how these things usually played out. Emma shoved his arm, but Travis was stronger. With one rough pull, he yanked the jacket off her shoulders, exposing the snug white tank top underneath. A couple of phones came out. Someone was filming. "Know this." Travis held up the jacket like a trophy. "Is mine." Laughter rippled from his crew. Emma's chest heaved, not from embarrassment, but from the rush of adrenaline surging in her veins. Her training was screaming for release. Because what nobody here knew, not Travis, not even most of her friends, was that Emma had been training in martial arts since she was 8. Not for fun, not for sport, but because her father, a police sergeant, believed she should never be defenseless. She had earned her black belt last year, along with a reputation at her old school for making wood. Bullies regret their choices. Emma's hand shot out so fast it made Mark flinch. She clamped her fingers around Travis's wrist, the one holding her jacket. His smirk faltered for the briefest second. "Let go," he said, tugging back. Her voice was quiet, almost gentle. "Nung." Before he could react, she twisted his wrist sharply outward, against the natural bend. The motion was precise, controlled, and backed by years of practice. There was an audible pop followed by Travis's gasp turning into a choked cry. His knees buckled as she bent his fingers backward until his knuckles whitened. The hallway went silent. Even the usual end-of-day chaos seemed to evaporate. "You think strength is about size," she murmured, her eyes locked on his. "It's about control. And right now, you have none." He groaned, the pain evident in his contorted face. She eased the pressure just enough for him to drop the jacket. It hit the floor in a heap. Without releasing his wrist entirely, she kicked the jacket up with her foot and caught it in her free hand. Then, with one final flick, she shoved him back into the lockers. Travis clutched his hand, glaring at her but saying nothing. Emma slipped her jacket back on, zipping it slowly, deliberately. "Next time you want to touch me," she said evenly, "remember what happened to your fingers." Someone in the crowd whispered, "Holy crap." Emma walked away without another glance, the hallway parting for her like water around a rock. Travis didn't follow. He didn't say a word. But his crew's stunned expression said everything. For the rest of the year, not one of them so much as looked at her wrong again, and the video. It hit social media before the day was over. By Monday, Hawthorne Cheer Ninja was the name everyone knew, and not even Travis could erase it.